Hello and welcome to the Shiny New Object Podcast. My name is Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, the creative effectiveness ad tech platform. And this is a weekly podcast where I interview one of our industry's leaders about their vision for the future of data-driven marketing. And they share their shiny new object, which is also the name of the show. And it's a privilege and a pleasure. And I'm on a call with the beautifully named Justinas, who is the head of performance marketing at Jimdo. So Justinas, for anyone who doesn't know who you are and what you do, could you give us a little bit of background?
Absolutely. Pleasure to be on the show, Tom. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you.
And it's amazing we've actually made it. So, been in the UK for about 15 years, started my career at email marketing. From that, went into Rocketmail, doing very in-depth PPC. Then went to big agency, OMD, so worked on some big profile clients, SSE, Eurotunnel, Barclays, had an exposure there, and then went into the world of startups, or scale-ups, I should say, at Teamwork, and now at Jimdo.
So that is quite the performance creds there. That is, you've been all over the shop. You've seen big and small, different platforms. I can't imagine anyone can get much past you. So I'd love to know, what has been the best investment of your own time, your own money, or your own energy in your own career over the last few years?
Sure. The best investment that I've ever had, it's sort of a recurring theme, really, is just picking the topics or the challenges where there are no easy answers and not many people want to do it. One of the most fun things that I've done, so early on in the career, and that's the recurring theme bit, is I, at an agency at Rocketmail, I took on clients that no one really wanted, which was, at the time, that probably possibly puts them in a slightly bad vibe, but it's...
Well, let's not name them. That's fine.
It was around industrial gas. It's purely nothing to do with the client, an amazing client. It's just not really anyone's cup of tea. And to me, it was like, yeah, I want to do it.
Oh, you see, you put your hand up. It wasn't thrust upon you.
Well, it was like, it was suggested strongly that maybe I should take it. And I was happy to do it. I was like, yeah, I'll gladly have it. And honestly, like, one of the best things that I've ever done, because it's, for one, it seems kind of dull, but once you actually get into it, it was an incredible experience. Because again, you get into the world that you don't normally see, and there is so much, like, if you're a curious person, fantastic. Because yeah, you can have your like big names, big clients, big sort of budgets, but it was so incredibly interesting. And the beautiful thing about that, I think it was like a Steve Jobs quote, where you can really make the connections going backwards. You can only see it sort of going forwards, like you can see them looking backwards. When I joined then the big agency, OMD, which was again like looking at like massive clients, and the career question came up, and like, like what kind of clients would you like to pick? And there was a choice between travel clients and a gas company or an energy company, right?
More gas.
And I was like, I've done gas. Why not?
Give me the gas, yeah.
And can you, like, the most incredible thing about that was, this was end of 2019. Little did I know, in about 4 months, all of the travel clients are going to be completely shut down. All of the energy clients are going to shoot up.
Yeah.
So the choice that seemed like, and again, like getting into really nitty gritty of like, just picking the client, like something that seemed so boring, so like what's much is there to it? It sort of allowed me to build a career, like find incredibly interesting clients and challenges, and work on those.
Well, I cannot remember the name of the lady on this podcast. It was many years ago, and what she said as Michelle Webb, maybe NFL. She said that you've got to decide what kind of marketer you are. Are you interested in marketing a certain thing, like sports or music or alcohol or cars, or are you just into marketing? And I'm definitely the other side of it. Like, You know, we at Automated Creative, we've marked dry mouths, dry eyes, and dry vaginas. You know, and do you know what I mean? Like, and I love that, because you're just like, well, all right, well, what's the challenge? What, you know, it doesn't, like, the thing itself doesn't have to be interesting. Like, I mean, I'm like a massive Beatles fan, and the worst client would be for us to have the Beatles. It would just be just horrible. I don't need to be. What I want to do is I want to get into the client. What is the problem, and how can I help you? As opposed to like, I want to work with you because you make cool trainers.
Absolutely. It's actually, funnily enough, again, working on the more boring things allows you, for one, to bring a perspective that usually people don't have. Because if it's something that people understand and know, like, everyone sort of has an opinion. If you're, I don't know, everyone sort of wants to work on, I don't know, jewelry or cars or, something cool and something that everyone sort of understands. When you're working in those industries where few people have an opinion or an understanding, like, a little bit of effort goes such a long way. And it's like, again, it's so, so interesting.
And also, there's less of a like established brand for you to play with, I guess, in that sense as well. You know, like, having not worked on Coca-Cola, I can imagine that it's like, right, this is how Coke shows up.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get onto experimentation later, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, versus, I don't know, North Sea gas or whatever, like, come on, what ideas have you got? But it's, yeah, gosh, I had no idea you were a gas specialist. You're our first on this podcast. So other than taking on the gnarly problems that other people don't want to take on, which is great advice, and actually, the other thing it reminded me of is someone said to me once that the hardest thing to do and the right thing to do are usually the same thing, which I should have started this bit. Anyway, whatever. So, next question is, what is your best bit of advice for someone to become a better data-driven marketer?
Sure. That's very close to my heart. I think I have quite a lot to say about this topic, so let me see how far
I shall strap in.
I would say, I mean, I just love data. Like, I love data and sort of understanding.
Why do you love data so much?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not something that you choose. I don't think it's just something that's like
Data chose you.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
right.
look. I optimize my life. Like, I look at the data in my own life. I track every interview that I've ever had, every company I've ever applied to, and like look for patterns of how that actually and now with AI, it does just blows my mind. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not something that I choose, unfortunately.
Okay. Anyway, I cut you off. So you love data.
The best bit of advice I have is sort of to, at least the things that worked really well for me, is digging into the layers of below. Like, what I mean by that is, so PPC and like paid search, Google Ads, that's sort of been the huge part of my life. Is then digging into every area and like peeling the layers off of like, okay, tracking. Sure, I can understand what a pixel is, or like, I need pixels to track, but how do they work? Like, what are the different options? How do cookies? What is that? How do they work? In what instances do they break? How and why? The most interesting thing, sort of the thing that blew my mind. So again, it's not necessarily something that's easy to do. I think it's just peeling the layers of like, once you find a concept of something of like, okay, pixel, what is it exactly? Like, literally, I would imagine a lot of people, probably I would struggle to explain this now exactly, of like, what are the technical definitions of a pixel, like a pixel versus a tracker or something like that. But one of the most interesting things, there used to be, I'm pretty sure there still is, an amazing conference called, it's not Measure Fest, Measure Camp. Goodness, amazing, in London.
Okay. Yeah.
Free, sponsored, sponsor driven, but it's sort of all the best analytical minds get there. And that was purely my quest of like actually digging into, of like, I normally would be the only marketer there. Everyone would be analysts and sort of various flavors of data engineers. So a very, very interesting crowd. But the amazing thing was like a session about Google Analytics. I'm like, a guy who was leading the session was like, who knows how Google Analytics actually works? I'm like, I use it every day. I have no idea. And I was like, well, this is how it sends the data. And it's like, did you know every event is basically, and like every event in the in Google Analytics is basically like a pixel send out. It was like, oh my god, that is so incredible. Like I never thought about it that way. And it's like, oh, this is actually how you can then start implementing, like start sending all types of data into Google Analytics. And that sort of led me into solving, well, this was now years ago, but solving problems of like how to get different, a huge challenge used to be having like other than paid spend in Google Analytics other than Google Ads. And like from that, just digging into the layers, started uncovering all sorts of stuff of like all the cool things that we could do. And again, like open up a whole layer of conversations and possibilities in the career.
So your advice to data-driven marketing is go beyond what the first thing that gets served up to you. Understand how the thing works. Useless. That makes me feel awful because I'm just not that kind of guy. I'm like right, brilliant, get the thing, get it working. I'm a good starter of things. I'm a terrible finisher of things, as everyone who works with me will attest. But that's really wise, isn't it? I think that one of the downsides of marketing is it doesn't. There's not really much of a barrier to entry to get in. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy for everyone to get a job, but you don't need to have done like a 3-year degree in analytics to get to work on PPC. You get a job working for someone somewhere, and you be a junior PPC person. Absolutely. Do some training, off you go, right? So, which is kind of brilliant in a way that anyone could get into the industry and have a go at it. But at the same time, I think that we, as an industry, a lot of us don't have that studious, inquisitive mind to go that bit further. I'm like anyone else using AI at the minute, and I'm like, well, cool, brilliant, that helped me with that job.
Yep.
But I'm not going to like going into it. Well, how did it do that? And so, and I feel ashamed to say that, but I think that what you're saying is like even one extra peeled layer of onion is going to transform your understanding of something in performance marketing. Yeah,
and I would say like, my apologies to like if that makes you feel bad. That's not my intention.
No, I know Justinas. I know my strengths, and deep analytics is not one of them.
It's the most fascinating thing. It's those, to peel those layers. It just makes you so much better. Honestly, I don't really have any special talents. It's just I dig into stuff further than like a lot of people stop and was like, oh, I kind of get it. I just keep digging. That's it. There's no like nothing. My career is built on just me digging into stuff.
Brilliant. So we're going to now talk about your shiny new object, and I'm deeply intimidated by your brain already. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. But I said to you, like, what is your shiny new object? And you said one word: experimentation.
Yes.
So why is that a shiny new object? What is it? Why have you chosen it?
Sure. Experimentation to me, I think there's a lot of... Okay. I think experimentation has a very simplistic understanding in the vast majority of organizations. It's sort of, most people see it as sort of an A/B testing, and that's it. I think experimentation is really a culture and a process, or it can be like it's sort of a combination of those two things. And the real power of experimentation and why it's a shiny new object for me. So for one, I'm currently driving that culture of experimentation. So I'm deeply thinking about what does that mean and what I'm trying to achieve. And the challenge that I'm seeing with this is making big bets is quite easy. I think huge businesses plan in sort of, okay, if we can just, how do we drive growth? Well, we need to make some improvements, and question mark, question mark, question mark, and then somehow it's all going to work out. Now, that poses a huge risk because there's so much unknown information, and in the current climate, where everything is changing all the time, particularly with AI, all the playbooks in B2B, B2C marketing, the types of creatives, the level of data that is available. There's just so many unknowns, and they're getting more of them every day, that the experimentation becomes a necessity to really to be able to win. Of like, how do we make small bets, validate, and build on that knowledge? Like, how do we ideate better? How do we test things better? How do we learn them? and then improve with every cycle. I don't have all the answers. Let me just be very upfront and honest about this. But to me, this is a fascinating area of how can organizations be way smarter in the face of uncertainty that we all face right now. I don't know if that's something that you face as well, of like making the big bets. And
Well, I mean, we have a business that's entirely built around a culture of experimentation, and no one ever listens to me when I say this, but I'm going to say it again. But if you had to invent advertising tomorrow, like it didn't exist, but yet tomorrow it got invented, but we had all of the capabilities, there is no way you would make big bets. You go, well, there's this thing called advertising, right? And there's this thing called media. And what we can do is put like lots and lots of different types of messages and visuals and formats in front of all of these different audiences for all these different parts of the funnel. And we can just test anything we want to, and we can get really granular data back on what works and why. Or we go to the highest paid person in the room who likes one thing and we show that to everyone. It's just, if we were going to invent advertising tomorrow, there's no way we would do the latter. Like, we would be out of our minds to do that. It just wouldn't make any sense. Why on earth would you just show one thing to everyone? However, that's what we do, because we've been going 8 years. We've been making and optimizing ads with live data and insight for like 8 years, and still, I'd say the industry's sort of coming around to it. I think probably in the performance space, you're much more familiar with it. With working into a .com as well. But like the inability for people who've grown up in marketing the old way to see it differently is one of the biggest challenges we have. It's that education piece.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's tricky. There's nothing harder than sort of changing the old habits and old thinking patterns. And again, experimentation to me is a great way of actually, okay, well, let's try it out. What is the hypothesis? What can we prove? What do we want to prove?
So give me a 101, right? So someone's listening to this going, right, I finally listened to Tom. And Justinas is making a good point. Where do you start? What's the kind of day one, right, experimentation mindset? What would you do if you're gonna go into an organization they'd never done it before? What's the first thing you do?
Sure. Maybe a bit banal answer, but strategy. And to me, strategy is, what are you trying to achieve? What do you want to achieve? Is it double our customer acquisition next year? Is it, I don't know, improve the profitability? Is it launch a new product? Cool. We know what we want. Then it's breaking down to, well, what are the unknowns for us to be able to achieve this? Do we know that if we launch a massive TV campaign that's actually going to drive and close this gap? Sweet. No experimentation needed. Let's just run with it. But if you don't, you have your goal. You want to break this down to, what are the knowns? What are the unknowns? What are then sort of the hypotheses, and then like, what are the things that we need to learn for the unknowns to become knowns? Whether it's, we need to reach a particular demographic, that's what we believe where the growth will come out from. And then you create a testing plan. And out of that testing plan, you prioritize, and then you start launching the different campaigns or initiatives. So again, like I think in the traditional experimentation approach, campaigns is typically the thing to do, or like an A/B test, a homepage test perhaps. But it can also be initiatives. It can be starting a community. It can be launching a YouTube channel. You're not really testing anything A/B against. You're launching an initiative of, okay, well, we believe, I don't know, an example of not gas industry, maybe something a little bit more relatable. I don't know, launching a new, Coke is a good example, launching a new flavor. All the traditional channels don't work. We're going to launch a YouTube channel. We believe that there is a growing demographic of, Gen Z who will watch this, and all of the signals align. What do we need to actually create? And then you build a testing plan out of that, and sort of, okay, let's get to the thing that bothers me about experimentation is when it's treated as, we'll run something, and then whatever the data shows us, it will be is that what we wanted? Of like, oh, we run a test and we really see a really good click-through rate. It's a click-through rate that we wanted. It's not coming up front and saying, well, with this experiment, with this idea, we believe we'll be able to move X, and then looking if X actually has moved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. So
Yeah,
you're not optimizing to the abundant data, which is a click-through rate. It's like, there's lots of that information you're not optimizing towards, but you're aiming for the larger business needle to move, by brand awareness or whatever it is, or consideration. The stuff that doesn't change very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, we just published a book relatively recently called "Using Data and Creativity in Marketing," and one of the big things we learned from writing that book was not confusing abundant data with important data.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because the platforms are giving you tons of it, it's abundant. You're like, oh, it must be important because it's really easy to get hold of, and there's lots of it. But in reality, actually, just because the click-through rate's improved doesn't mean the brand health has, or doesn't mean anyone likes the product, or everyone might hate your service, or like feel there's no choice, or another competitor went out of business or something. Like it's the numbers. What was it? The numbers tell you what happened, but only the people will tell you why.
Yeah, I love that. It's I think another kind of common misconception in or at least sort of a saying that I see of like, oh, everyone has opinions, but I have data. I have issues with that saying because data only tells the facts, but facts by themselves don't really mean anything. It's the narrative that you sort of weave around that you can turn this into whatever. An example of this is, so we've looked at some of our acquisition data and like mobile and desktop, and again, us being a website builder, there is a huge discrepancy in the both activation and conversion rates from desktop versus mobile. So I don't know if that's surprising to you at all. It shouldn't be. Like, if you want to create a website, you'll be more likely to do it on a desktop than you would be on a mobile. Now, you have those facts. Okay, one of them converts much better than the other. You can have two very different stories about this. You can tell two very different narratives about this. One is, why on earth are we wasting our money and budget and energy on mobile? That's one way to tell that narrative. And it's like, yeah, let's just kill it. Another way is, there's a huge opportunity. There's a whole trend of people moving onto mobile. Maybe let's do something about that. That presents the opportunity. So it's the data itself often it doesn't really mean anything. Like the facts that you have, I've seen data twisted and turned into such different narratives that is incredible.
Well, we're marketing people, aren't we? We market our own data to market our own marketing in an odd way, don't we?
I fight the urge to do that with everything that I have. That's my, yeah.
We've all done it. We've all done it, Justinas. But unfortunately, look, we're at the end of the show. We've gone over, which is always a good sign. I feel like we could talk a lot more, but we need to leave it there. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, where would you like them to do it? And what makes a message that you will actually reply to?
Absolutely. I think LinkedIn is probably the best way. I'm working on building some online presence. But yeah, for me, LinkedIn is the easiest one. It's my name and surname, and a connection. And I think for an example of a good reach out message, yours is a brilliant one.
Yes, brilliant. Okay, so you want to come on some podcasts? That's a good steer. Justinas, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.